Hey everybody, I had a request to do Hayley's birth story, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, but I'm gonna try and do it while I'm trying to get her down for the night, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know if she'll let me, because she seems pretty feisty right now. So, anyway, also keep in mind it's been about 5 months since she's been born, so the details might be a little bit fuzzy, but anyway, here goes. So the morning of the 5th, I woke up and I recalled having some dreams that I had gone into the hospital and had Hayley. So and I kind of wondered if maybe if it was a sign, but I wasn't sure. In fact, I posted on Facebook about it, but didn't think much of it, and then went on about my day, and about 4 o'clock or so, I started having some contractions that were 7 or 8 minutes apart, and I didn't call my doctor right away because I'd been known to have sputs of contractions and then they sputtered out. So after about an hour or so of this, I called my doctor and he told me to go ahead and give it another hour, and if they kept up or got any worse, to come in. So after about an hour they stayed the same, so I went to the hospital and I got hooked up to the monitors and triage and got monitored for a bit, and true to form, the contractions did sputter out. But the thing they were worried about is in continually taking my blood pressure, it was consistently high. And so they had me roll over to my left side and lay on my left side to see if they could bring it back down. Because if they could bring it back down, then they were just going to send me home. But it wasn't going down. In fact, it was going further up. So they called my doctor again, who came in and said they were going to do my C-section. So that all happened really, really quickly. Everything happened really quickly at that point. They got me, prepped and ready to go into the ER, and I signed all my paperwork and all that, and I guess they wanted to do it really quickly because the last blood pressure reading they got was 151 over 110, and at my doctor's appointment 2 days earlier, I had had some protein in my urine. So, anyway, I got prepped and ready to go. My husband prepped, and they took me to the OR, which was kind of cool, actually, because I didn't know that the L&D had its own surgical OR versus, the normal. I don't know if that's standard in most hospitals, but that's how it is in ours. And the first thing I remember when going into the OR was that it was really, really cold, and I didn't like it, and I wanted it warm because I was freezing. But anyway, they got me on the table, and they started trying to put the spinal in. That took 3 tries, so I had a total of like 6 needles in my back. That wasn't fun. But they got it in on the 3rd try, which was good, because if they hadn't, then they would have had to put me under general anesthesia, and then I would have missed everything. So they finally got it in, and I remember I kept telling my doctor to make sure I'm numb, because I was like terrified that I would feel stuff. And I kept telling him, make sure I'm numb, make sure I'm numb. And finally, the anesthesiologist at that point was like, you're wide open on the table. Which was weird to me because I could feel him, like, poking me. Like, I could feel him touching me, but I couldn't feel, like, any of the, like, surgical stuff, which was strange. I don't know if that's like normal in terms of anesthesia or not, but either way. So anyway, about 10 minutes later, they told my husband to stand up and if he wanted to see Hayley be pulled out. So he did, and she was born, and she was born at 11:26 p.m. on the 5th. And after that, they took her and cleaned her up and assessed her while I got sewed up. She got an 8 and an 8, or an 8 and a 9, excuse me, on her APGARs. And she let out the tiniest little cry, and it was the only cry she let out the entire time. And come to find out, when they took her to the nursery later on, she wouldn't even cry for them. So they actually ended up doing a chest x-ray to make sure everything was okay as far as like getting the fluid out and stuff. She was fine, but anyway, back to the story. They got her cleaned up and she was helping them suction, like she was grabbing the tube and helping the nurses to suction her out. And once they were done with that, I got to see her for a brief second before they took her off to the nursery to get her weighed and stuff like that. And once they finished sewing me up, they took me to the ICU to recover, which since the standard recovery was closed. And on the way there, we got to stop at the nursery, and I get to see her for a minute, and we learned that she weighed 5 pounds 5 ounces and 17 inches long. So she was a tiny little thing. So I got to see her for a few minutes, and then they took me up to ICU to let my anesthesia wear off and try and get my blood pressure down. Because they said that if it didn't, then I was going to have to be on magnesium sulfate, which wasn't fun at all. Wouldn't be fun because I had it when I was in preterm labor with her. And yeah, it was unpleasant for sure. And so while in recovery, I remember I couldn't stop shaking. Like, I was literally like to the bone shaking, and to the point where the nurse, when she was taking my blood pressure, had to hold my arm down to get an accurate reading because I was shaking so much. But my blood pressure did go down, so I didn't end up having to be on the magnesium. And after about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half, I got to go back up to my room, and they, got me situated, and they wouldn't let me have any food, which kind of sucked, because I hadn't eaten since noon that day, and I was pretty hungry, but they wouldn't let me have any food because they didn't know if I was going to be taking, I was still going to need the magnesium, and apparently that stuff like makes you puke a lot, so they wouldn't let me eat until later on in the morning when they found out I didn't need to be on it anymore. But anyway, so after they got me situated, oh, thank you, Hayley. I needed that. Mommy needed puke on her leg. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Silly girl. But anyway, they brought her to me, and we got to spend time with her, and at that point it was like 1 in the morning, and we didn't go to bed until like 5, because, new baby, adrenaline rush, not tired, things like that. So yeah, that was basically her birth story. I guess if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to ask. I will say that the recovery wasn't bad, but I'll get to that in a different video, because that's kind of its own separate thing. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will talk to you guys later. Say bye, Hayley. Say bye. Say bye. Alright, bye guys.